Good morning, everybody. Rick Thomas from Obsolete Video Services. Hey, guys. All right, as you know, we've been working on my Panasonic Nv-3160. These are special editors, the flagship, as you would say, of the Panasonic models. Okay, guys. I've had many people ask me about this, people who have this machine, and also I've been noticing it on my own machines recently. So, I just thought I'd give you guys a little bit of an update where I think we're at on these Panasonic Nv-3160. The biggest problem I've been getting from people who contact me, and I had this happen to me a couple days ago using this machine, is you do a tape transfer and go through time-based correction and all that, and all of a sudden the video will start going like this. Like it's not staying in sync. It will start really being erratic. Like it doesn't want to stay in sync. And this is the first time I've noticed it on this machine. And so anyways, I've been troubleshooting the issues. And it basically boils down to capacitors, I'm pretty sure. It's not going to be really the capacitors on the boards. These, for some reason, the capacitors used on these boards held up very, very well. They're not dried out. They're still very pliable. So and plus you can check them on the boards just to see where they're at. So it ain't the capacitors actually on the boards on these Panasonic Nv-3160s. It's all the capacitors surrounding it that's causing the motor issues, motor speed issues, and also the sync issue where in playback you start getting this. It's like in and out, in and out, in and out, like shifting in the playback because of sync. Now, generally you would think that would be like a power capacitor causing that, which in most cases it might be, but we're going around that route and saying, fuck it all, we are going to fix this problem. I don't want to be in the middle of a job and have all these video sync errors or issues with sync because of bad capacitors that needed to be changed, and I'm just too damn lazy to do it. So, let's explain to you what I'm doing on these Panasonic 3160s and why it's important. To start off with, okay, let's take a look over here on this machine. As you can see, you got your main motor capacitor, that runs this motor, which is your start motor run capacitor. We made a combination of capacitors right here, and we wired it up with brand new pigtail capacitors, which take the place of the motor run capacitor to fix the motor run issue. Plus, there's all new belts, so the tensions are all correct. Okay, now in these Panasonic Nv-3160s, there's not very many places you can do these bridging of these capacitors to replace the motor run capacitors. So I was able to bridge one on a strip in this position right here, which is in a solid spot out of the way, so that worked out good. But back here, we're able to bridge a strip with those capacitors out of the way in the back of the unit. So now we have brand new motor run capacitors on these machines. That's what starts and keeps these motors spinning for your scanner. Basically, the capstan basically runs on a totally different circuit, and that ties into basically these capacitors right here, which are power capacitors that go directly to the power transistors up on top. So here's what we're doing today. We changed out the capacitors on the main power board down there. As you can see, these capacitors here, they had these big older versions which I completely changed out, and that's part of your fuse circuit for the power input. So we changed out those. Same thing over here on this one. As you can see, we put brand new ones in there. So those are changed out. So today we're expecting the exact replacement capacitors to come in, which I should probably have in about an hour, and we're going to replace these cans. Now these cans are 2200 microfarads by 35. I got the same ones coming by 63 volts, which is fine. You could always go higher on your volts, but we have brand new fresh stock of these 2200 microfarads. And we're going to change these out. One mounts up in the bottom of the unit, and the other one mounts up to the side of the unit. So we've got 4 of these to change out. And basically, this controls your power. And I've been noticing on this unit, I'll turn the power on, and sometimes it delays, it'll come on, and it won't come on. So that's a sure sign that we probably got dried out power capacitors, which is these 2 cans right here. So we're going to be changing these out. So that will bring us to all the capacitors that actually runs the motors and the power output of this machine. And I think that's going to correct the sync errors, because sometimes these things just go out of sync and they'll start going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Really weird on this machine. It just started doing it on this one. And of course, I don't know if you guys can see this, but at the very bottom, you see this capacitor down here? Well, that's one that I eliminated. That was a 5 microfarad, which is now these. And these are notorious for going bad. So capacitors are a very big deal, guys. It's a very, very big deal when you're dealing with vintage electronics. You want to keep as fresh possible stock as you can, especially if you're doing production work. So we put brand new bridged pigtail capacitors, which replaces that can capacitor down there. That basically it's your motor run capacitor for the scanner, which is right here. The cap stand runs on a totally different circuit and a board. So we didn't touch any of those or any of the ones that's actually in the boards, because those are actually held up very, very well. But we are having problems on this machine where the power will turn on and then I'll get nothing and I'll keep flipping the switch, and after about 3 or 4 times turning a switch on, these capacitors kick in and the power comes up. So that's a sure indicator that these power caps that go to the transistors on top are dried out. Most likely. I did take one off as a test and cut it in half, and yes, it definitely is dry as a bone. So these capacitors are garbage as well. So we're going to change out these can caps that run the power circuit, or basically the power that run to the power transistors up on top. We're going to put 2 brand new fresh stock electrolytics, which we got coming today. We did all the other capacitors that leads into the power circuit, so we should not have that power shift or sync issue. We got brand new belts, and we're going to set the speeds on the motors on these to make sure they lock in perfectly. You could do that with a little trimmer at the very bottom right here where you got your cap stand motor. That little trimmer right there, you can actually correct your speeds if you're having problems. These things are notorious for speed issues, and sometimes you have to refer back to that trimmer right there. So all the other capacitors in the board seem to be just fine. It doesn't seem to be any big issue. But these things are notorious for drying out, these particular caps, and indeed they are dried out. So we're going to change the main can caps that run the power. We did the capacitors where the fuse circuit is for the input of the power. Those are all new now. And we got new belts. So, and plus we have brand new motor run capacitors. So as far as powering everything properly and that type of thing, and not being dried out, the sync issue with the shifting where it goes, it's very common on this machine that it does that. And basically it boils down to main function capacitors for power, and sometimes it's bad belts, which we have a brand new set of stock of belts on this thing, and sometimes it could be your motor run caps. So we changed everything out on these Panasonic Nv-3160s. So I think the sync issues are going to be corrected and fixed, and we should never have that problem again. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video.